Omni Goku has finally been born, as the situation in Universe 7 has become unpredictable at best. In the last part of our Dragon Ball Super God of Destruction Vegeta Saga What-If, something inconceivable has happened. A mortal, a Saiyan, has somehow acquired the same Omni abilities as Zeno himself, a threat to the entire multiverse thanks to the sudden schism created by Majin Buu and Oob. What exactly this being is capable of, we're soon to find out, but last time we talked about how some ancient warriors from Universe 12 have come to Universe 7 in search of it. They're currently on their way while Vegeta, the new god of destruction, continues to engage in combat with Omni Goku after intercepting him once the sun was destroyed. If you guys haven't already, be sure to check out the previous parts for more context. The previous chapter will be on the screen above. For now, let's talk about what would happen next in our very own What If, the God of Destruction Vegeta Saga. After exchanging blow after blow with Vegeta, Omni Goku's body instinctively starts remembering his own martial arts style, and then suddenly Omni Goku takes Goku's signature fighting stance and charges straight towards Vegeta. But regardless of the situation or the possibility that their universe itself might get erased out of existence, Vegeta couldn't help but let out his usual battle smile. Both Saiyans exchange blows. It's an absolute slugfest of the highest tier right now, just punches and kicks, because Omni Goku still has yet to realize that he can also use Energy Blast in combat. Meanwhile, Goku's earlier energy outburst gave the Universe 12 warriors their cue. They were currently a dozen or so galaxies away, hurrying up anxiously. Say, Amarok, when was the last time you actually had a duel anyway? Zenith asked sincerely. Come on, you know the answer. I sealed my powers after that humiliating defeat by the Grand Priest on that day. Amarok lets out his frustration. I know how you feel, Amarok. I really do. It's the same for me, Katara adds. The current balance of the multiverse must be destroyed. We should be the ones to do it, not my brother. It must be us. Well, anyways, Zenith continues, I asked you this because it looks like it's finally time for you to unseal your dormant powers. I sense a strong presence approaching us. But the instant he finishes this sentence, a horrifying punch lands across Amarok's face and sends him flying straight into a black hole. This was where the warriors encountered a certain ominous individual, someone who had been training desperately ever since he realized the true extent of the power gap between him and those Saiyans. Someone who completely destroyed his own understanding of his own power and discovered a newfound strength, a body entrenched in platinum. That's right, the one who stood right in front of those legendary warriors from Universe 12 was none other than Platinum Frieza, the return of the Emperor in a new transformation. Perfect timing, Frieza says. I wanted to test the potential of this new transformation immediately. However, the warriors knew that they couldn't waste any more time, especially since time is relative, and if they miss their chance, it'll be the end. Meanwhile, even though it's been a little more than 12 hours since Omni Goku destroyed the sun, a week has passed back on Earth. Organic life forms have crumbled, and the world has turned into a dark dystopia. All of the Z-Fighters gather at the lookout, and Piccolo begins to explain exactly what happened, while Oob and Buu are still unconscious. Gohan is distraught himself, as he and the other Z-Fighters know full well that Goku would never do such a thing. But before they could contemplate what to do about Goku, they have to summon Shenron and wish the sun back into existence. Of course, gathering the Dragon Balls was hardly a challenge for our Z-Fighters, and surprisingly enough, everyone had already brought whatever ball they could find. Only one ball was left, and it was one in the possession of Bulma. She was already quite busy in trying to create an artificial energy source for the planet together with the help of other scientists, so she sends 5-year-old Bulla in her stead. Now, going back to the Goku and Vegeta battle, Whis was going to stop Vegeta from letting Omni Goku improve and mature even more, but that's when he realized something. The reason Vegeta was so focused on fighting is exactly because he doesn't want Goku to cause any more irreparable damage. Especially not the kind that'll get the Grand Priest involved. If they have to keep fighting forever, then so be it. He'd rather keep fighting for all eternity than let someone else handle the matter of their universe. Both of them have limitless energy after all. Though what ultimately did disrupt the rhythmic nature of their fight was indeed that outside force, or should I say the indication of an outside force. Even if Goku is not the same, he could never have forgotten that familiar presence. As he became more conscious of what was going on in his surroundings, he senses something really familiar. Vegeta uses the opportunity to land a solid blow on his face, but Goku comes to a standstill and blocks the fist. But following this block, he faces another direction and lets out a lethal wave of a scream. A scream that ignores the laws of physics and traverses through space, similar to what Majin Buu did back in the day. Both Vegeta and Whis could see clearly that this wave of a scream was headed in a very specific direction, and they also knew exactly who it would eventually come into contact with. The legendary Super Saiyan Broly, the man who had been training himself to the bones ever since the defeat by Gogeta Blue. Broly stops the shockwave right before it hits the planet he was on, immediately letting out his own Saiyan battle cry and blitzing himself in the direction that the wave came from. His excitement couldn't be contained anymore. "Now you've done it, Kakarot. I'm not here to babysit all of you Saiyan commoners," Vegeta says, getting really annoyed at this point. Back on Earth, Bola had brought the final Dragon Ball and Shenron would be summoned. Dende gulps, and this is when he asks him to bring the sun back, but for some reason, Shenron says that he can't. He simply states that this is beyond his power. When asked why, Shenron would ask them if this inquiry is just their first wish. Consequently, Whis, who momentarily observed the situation using his orb, relays what's happening on Earth to Vegeta. Though Vegeta knows his wife and the others will figure out what to do somehow, so he continues to keep Goku in check. Gohan decides that, well, they don't even know how the sun was destroyed in the first place, so maybe they should use their first wish to ask Shenron what exactly happened to the sun. When Shenron answers, this is when he would reveal something absolutely shocking. The sun was erased by the Omni King. That power is absolute, he goes on, and if he himself even tries to bring back the sun, he'll instantly suffer the same fate. Therefore, he suggests asking Super Shenron for the wish instead. The Omni King? My father? Gohan asked, taken aback. Subsequently, Bulma's team was done creating the artificial sun, as she contacts Trunks, who is already at the lookout, and tells them that they should request that Shenron put the artificial sun in the sun's place and also increase its diameter by several thousand folds. Shenron does just that, and so they regain their source of energy throughout the universe. As for the remaining wish, Dende asks Shenron to revive all of the organic life, plants, animals, and humans who couldn't survive the aftermath of the sun's disappearance. And this, for the moment at least, would take care of their situation. Gohan would then set his sights on the distant twitching star, as he knows that his father is somewhat near that star, but the question is, how can he get there himself? Damn it, I shouldn't have wasted that first wish, Gohan says. Hey, Piccolo says, confronting Gohan with an overwhelming glare in his eyes. Think clearly for a second, Gohan. Do you really think this is a battle that you yourself can step into? Piccolo knew that they should leave this matter to Vegeta. There's not much that they could do about it anyway. By this point, Broly would have gone on to reach the site of the battle. He stares at Omni Goku while Goku stares back. Vegeta didn't want Broly complicating things even more, as the irritation gets the better of him, and he instinctively uses his ultimate final flash to blast Broly several galaxies away. This does work, especially considering how he didn't even give Broly any room to dodge, but of course this wasn't nearly enough to take Broly out. All it did was send him on a voyage across the galaxies. And it only is after Vegeta was done unleashing all of that final flash that he realized that he had committed a terrible mistake. Now, what would happen if Goku were to try to mimic him and do the same? And of course, Goku does just that, mimicking Vegeta's attack, but right before he could start concentrating his energy, Vegeta turns ruthless as he charges in and lands a devastating blow on Goku's arms, hence in turn rendering them useless for a while, but he doesn't stop there. Vegeta has had absolutely enough of this. He continues landing heavy blow after blow on all of Goku's weak spots without letting him catch a single breath. Meanwhile, Platinum Frieza was engaging in heavy combat himself with Karara of Universe 12. Both sides were pretty evenly matched, which of course triggered an insane, almost irrational amount of rage within Frieza. In his mind, he was infuriated by how he's evenly matched against a random nobody, completely unaware that Katara is actually a legendary existence who defeated the previous god of destruction of Universe 12. Time passed and eventually people began to refer to him as a myth, but Katara's legend was real, and the fact that Frieza can go toe-to-toe with him is nothing short of incredible either. Amarok still hasn't come back out of that black hole, by the way, while Zenith was simply observing the situation from afar. Frieza wonders if he should provoke Katara by attacking his companions, and so he unleashes a powerful blast on Zenith, but Zenith ends up absorbing the blast effortlessly. Frieza wanted to provoke them, but ended up getting provoked instead. Though if even this wasn't enough, right when he charges ahead to attack Katara again, someone comes flying and hits Frieza like a truck. It's Broly, and for the already humiliated Frieza, a Saiyan was the last thing he wanted to see right now. Interestingly enough, that nearby black hole implodes, and out comes Amarok with his unleashed powers. Now, in that very instant, it was Katara, the man who defeated the previous god of destruction of Universe 12, Amarok, a broken warrior who sealed his powers after suffering a huge loss against the Grand Priest, Zenith, an enigma who was easily able to absorb Platinum Frieza's sinister blast, and Frieza, in his new Platinum form, something that he specifically came up with for the sole purpose of overpowering Goku's Ultra Instinct. And then of course, the wild card would be Broly the legendary Super Saiyan. Last time it took both Goku and Vegeta fusing together and using the Super Saiyan Blue transformation before they could win against Broly's legendary Ikari form. He spent years training himself to death ever since, and now there's no telling where he stands in terms of strength. Meanwhile, Vegeta has been constantly punching and kicking Goku ever since, just going completely ballistic. The sheer uncertainty of what may happen if Goku were to catch a breath was reason enough to keep hitting him. Lord Vegeta, I don't want to disturb your disciplining session, but looks like we have a few interesting intruders, we says. At this rate, I wonder if other universes will also decide to get involved. Seriously, why can't they all just mind their business, Vegeta replies. Going back to the Universe 12 Warriors, this is when Broly charges straight in and tries to punch Amarok straight in the gut. Surprisingly enough, Amarok doesn't even attempt to dodge it or even block it. Not because he's overconfident, but because it's a part of his warrior code to always let the opponent land the first blow. Which, that's pretty honorable, I guess, but that's how he gauges their strength. And in this case, he instantly acknowledges Broly and went all out from the get-go. I don't think Amarok could have asked for a better opponent to regain his fighting prowess, Zenith comments on the fighting between Broly and Amarok, two just complete beasts trying to hunt each other. Frieza recalls how easily he got wrecked by Broly even though he was using his Golden Frieza form, but never again, so he braces himself to confront Broly right there and then. But Katara gets in the way as this is a 1v1 fight. He doesn't want Frieza disrupting his comrade's duel. Zenith, on the other hand, tells both of them that he'll be going on ahead. No doubt about it, he goes on. The Grand Priest and Zeno will eventually come to this universe. This isn't something that they can ignore any longer. Find your groove and defeat these two. We'll rendezvous at the location of the new Omni King. Good luck, guys. And this is when he parts ways with Amarok and Katara and goes on ahead. Roger that, both of them respond. And back on Earth, Gohan hasn't given up on going up there to see what's happening with his father. What was the point of all of that rigorous training if I can't even be there when it counts, he says, expressing himself right in front of Piccolo. And it wasn't his words or logic that got through the Piccolo. It was the glint and determination in his eyes. Piccolo knew he couldn't talk him out of going, so he decides to just tag along with Gohan instead. Now, if only they could figure out how to get up there still. Back at Zeno's palace, both Zeno and the future Zeno are playing cards when they're interrupted by the Grand Priest. I apologize for interrupting your game, Master Zeno, but it looks like there is a matter at hand which cannot be ignored. Your status has just been put in jeopardy, he says. A new Omni King has been born. As for Vegeta's constant assault on Omni Goku, it was about time that Omni Goku got bored and tried to find a way out of the situation. By this point, however, he had more so realized how Vegeta is kind of afraid of his erasing technique. So within the momentary space between Vegeta's one blow and another, Omni Goku would unleash a miniature version of the move he used to erase the sun on Vegeta. This of course stops Vegeta in his tracks and allows Goku to finally brace himself. However, the crystal clear indication that Vegeta was indeed scared of Omni Goku's erasing technique didn't sit right with him at all. It actually triggered a mental dilemma, making Vegeta wonder if a god of destruction, or rather, if a proud Saiyan warrior such as himself should really even be afraid of such an attack. He better get over it soon, because Goku, on the other hand, would use this opportunity he had created for himself to concentrate his energy within his hands. Even though he wasn't verbally saying the name, it was an attack that Vegeta knew all too well. Goku's signature move, being prepared with an energy that he himself didn't know how to compete with at the moment. A galaxy-trembling, limit-shattering Kamehameha being prepared by the new Omni King.